Vikas Prasad, Director Infrastructure Services, IBM India and South Asia. So Vikas is a business leader and the business unit head for the business infrastructure services. He has 16 plus years of experience in sales across ITS, BFSI and automotive, across IT infrastructure space in managed services, business continuity and cloud services. And Vikas is going to be talking today about a new way of doing business your way. So over to you, Vikas.
Thanks. Thank you very much. So,
Hello, my name is Watson.
well, change, that's the theme that comes across, that did come across all the previous presentations and this video, right? Inspired by my previous speaker, Kirtikar, let me, start with a small reciting here. अलमारी से मिले हुए मेरे बचपन के खिलौने, अलमारी से मिले हुए मेरे बचपन के खिलौने मेरे चेहरे की उदासी देखकर बोले तुम्हें ही बहुत शौक था बड़ा होने का. So before I get into a loaded presentation, I thought I'll just clean the air. So I'll try. So change is inevitable, right? And the point that I'm trying to make here is that change is not enough, right? We have seen enough changes in the industry, in the IT industry over the past few years. People talked about, PCs moving to billions of mobile devices, connected mobile devices. We've seen in-house data centers to outsourced data centers to cloud, right? That's the infrastructure journey. But I would say that there's something more, and it's not about these components that are listed on your right-hand side, which is creating the disruption, but the way these components are communicating with each other and the data which is getting generated out of those communications is something which is creating the change, right? We're talking about mobile devices today. Mobile is nothing but a sensor. 100% it is being utilized 100% of the times. Data says that we look at our mobile phones almost 200 times a day. It is used to talk to our employers, to talk to family, friends. It is used to seek data. It is used to interact, do transactions, payments, and many things more. So the need for change and therefore transformation is inevitable, right? And digital technology is really creating those economic shifts which is disrupting the industry, which is converging many industries. We are seeing shifts in the new ecosystems getting created, and that's the way the world is moving. Industry convergence, this is where most of the CXOs think that would be the primary lever which impacts their business. So we need to be mindful of this. We're talking about the various learnings from the manufacturing industry, the supply chain, medicines. Earlier, medicines were sold through pharma reps going and visiting doctors and recommending, these are the medicines, and therefore they're recommending their patients. Today, medicines are being sold online. We see medicines, those companies reaching out to end users directly. We're talking about end user to end user conversation here. Now, therefore, if medicine companies doesn't expand its boundaries and go and talk to the social media or use social media to converge boundaries, they need to educate the end user, and they need to say that they need to go and tell them that why Vicks Action 500 is better than any other medicine. So those are the things that will evolve, and those are the things that you would need to do to make sure that your business moves on. And how would you do that? Of course, that handshake has to happen through the IT systems, and therefore, it is IT which will enable all of this. Right? We did some CXO studies across various business leaders. India was various countries. India was one of the countries wherein we got into the study. Technology is the main game changer. That was the first and the prime factor which came in. Now, all of us as CIOs would take the center stage if this is the fact, and if this is what everyone is saying and would be prevalent in the industry going forward. When we talked about convergence, and we talked about various industries. Now, our industries have already moved forward. When we talk about financial services, you can see the digital banking. We talked about internet banking, which is again, I would consider old and traditional right now. It has moved the movement is towards blockchain now. Will that remove the banking system? We don't know. We'll have to wait and watch. Manufacturing, right? Yes, we talk about discrete manufacturing. We did talk about integrated manufacturing, IoT bots, right? That's the future in manufacturing. Retail, I don't think anyone in this room has not interacted or has not bought stuff through Amazon or any online retailer, right? So that's the way this industry has changed. Right? Now, the whole point here is that the world is moving towards cognitive. It is getting connected. It is getting interacted. It is symbiotic. It is secured. It is cognitive. Right? Let me talk about two use cases which is very apt for this situation, and which will really change the IT going forward when we talk about infrastructure. Right? The ITAS, right? IT as a service and the cognitive platform. How would they coexist and how would they complement each other? Now, this use case talks about a starting point wherein you have an app, right? You deploy an app, you're about to launch an app. You decide which is the right app. You decide which is the right infrastructure for the app, depending on what is the specifications or how well you would be able to run it, whether it is on-prem, cloud, infrastructure, whatever. Once you do that, then you have a cognitive platform which kind of keeps the lights on. You would have that cognitive platform preempting issues, responding to incidents, and making sure that that app is running well on that infrastructure and it is being used for what it has been desired to. Now, going further, the cognitive app, the platform, if it detects an issue, it detects an incident, it would automatically go and figure out who's the expert to handle that, and at the same time trigger a service request. Not only that, it will not stop there. Because it is cognitive, right, it learns, and it is supposed to do better than what our normal systems do. It will also compare with what the industry standards are, what is the best of the breed, and make sure that you make those changes, or where is your infrastructure lacking, or where is your app lacking, where your environment is lacking. It will come and help you recommend, make those changes, and also do those changes. So that's where the cognitive and the IT infrastructure world is moving. Let me talk about another favorite subject which will really change the way we look at things, bots, right? Coming back to the same example, we talk about infrastructure which is either on cloud or on-prem. You would have bots. Now bots, what are bots? Now bots are nothing but, if I have to just give you a very simple example, it's like when a minister has to travel a convoy, come and does a recce and, make sure the roads are cleared, traffics are navigated well, and he reaches his destination secure, and at the same time, in the desired time that he's supposed to reach there. Bots are something like those. It's a piece of software. It's like cookies, which sits ahead of the transaction. It travels before the transaction. Let's assume that there's a transaction which gets triggered on the infrastructure through the app. The bot would, when the transaction starts, it will travel ahead onto your network. Will figure out whether the network is okay, not okay, onto your DB server, whether the server is reached its peak utilization. Is it okay, doing okay, not okay, or it'll then re-navigate the transaction through a different server and through a different network to get to the right destination. So what a bot would do is preempt, not only preempt, but also make sure that he sorts out the problem with the help of which your transaction would be executed in the right manner. So that's the future. That's what the world is moving towards. IBM, we support almost 80 petabyte of storage systems. We have almost 600,000 endpoints which we are supporting, and this is all digital infrastructure that we're talking about, right? Now, it's not only this, right? It's not only technology. How well you connect all the various technologies, is really important, and that's the key for us to execute well in whatever we do in the future. So, while we are really bothered about, what's the best cognitive, we talk about digital, we talked about many other innovations, automations, etc. Right? One of the things that we'll have to focus our efforts on is security. Right? We can't leave that unattended to. Just like our immune system, a human immune system, there has to be a security immune system in every organization. A human immune system would, look at the threats. Our various organs would send signals to through our central nervous system for white blood corpuscles or antibodies to be activated and therefore solve or destroy the disease that we have. And therefore, security is something like this, wherein it's no more about having firewalls and perimeter security. It's about a framework wherein you really have a security immune system within your organization who would preempt the threats, not only preempt the threats, but also arrest those threats and tell you that these are the threats which are coming, and that's how you're going to handle it. That's how you're going to prevent it. Right? Now with this, again, coming back to efforts, right? And that's, I don't have any more slides, so that's the end of my presentation. Often, all of us really get confused, and vendors like us confuse the CIOs saying that, this is important, that is important, I will come and talk this, and so as the other vendors would come and talk about 10 other things, and therefore you guys have some 100 things to stare at, right? So it's all about, and this would require a humongous effort if you have to address all of this, and so therefore you prioritize. Let me narrate a very small story here. So there was a ship sailing, and suddenly the engine came to a halt, right? It stopped. So the owners called looked at various people who can repair the engine, and they called on various guys, right? Many people came and looked at the engine, but in vain, they were not able to solve the problem. Till the time they got to an old man who was known for doing this all his life, and they placed a call on him, and he came. He comes with a huge bag with a lot of tools on his hand and, gets in front of the engine without talking to anyone. He directly gets to the work. Gets in front of the engine and looks at the engine, top to bottom, sideways, does a couple of rounds. People are wondering, is he the right guy? I mean, have we called the right guy? What is he doing? And then, after some 15, 20 minutes of inspection, he goes back to his toolkit, picks up a small hammer, goes to the engine, and somewhere down the corner of the engine, he just taps the engine. And there, with a lurching sound, the engine comes to life. And everyone's happy. Oh, great! That's great. So, a week later, he sends the bill. $10,000, $100,000. Sorry. And everyone is shocked. Just like how every CIO would react. He said that, "Nahi bhai, kya hai tumhara $100,000 for such a small job? Give me a breakup." Right? So this man sends a breakup. $2 for tapping the hammer, and knowing where to tap is $98,000. So effort is important, but knowing where to make an effort makes all the difference. Thank you.